just don't want like biological men to invade women's
Well, hold on now, hold on. There was a very simple question: are trans women women?
Technically, no.
Hello, everyone joining in. We have a debate tonight. We're going to discuss, the age-old question: why are men? And we have Fandar and Alec Hunter here. How about you two explain, who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, of course. My name's Alec Gunther. I'm a leftist streamer and content creator. I put up videos on YouTube and such. You can find me at twitch.tv/Alec Gunther. If you type !YouTube into the chat, you can find my YouTube channel there. And I am also trying to reclaim the men's activist title, along with MGTOW. Like when I say reclaim, I don't necessarily mean to use those terms, but mostly just to garner that audience for the left and make people understand that, if we don't pull young men over to the left by addressing their problems and continue to ignore the suffering that they personally go through, then we're never going to get anywhere. So that's kind of my shtick. And I also do like memes and entertaining content and video games.
Okay.
Alright, I am Fandar, an anonymous YouTuber, and I've been on YouTube since 2017, and I make a lot of videos defending women because of like all the misogynistic YouTube comments I have read over the years, and because of the wrongdoings men commit against women in real life, obviously. And yeah, I make a lot of feminist content, and so far my channel isn't that big yet, but like there's a few women who really like watching my videos, and like on any given video I would get like, let's say maybe 3 women commenting on average.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah. we don't need the entire, inner workings of your channel.
All the stats.
Okay.
Break out the tape measure. Measure the width of the ratio on your video feed.
Yes.
Let's go.
I mean, we're all trying to make it out here. None of us is boss for destiny yet.
No.
Yeah. I hate the censorship just like you guys do. Like, ever since, like...
Okay, we're getting off topic.
Last year.
We're getting off topic, we're here to discuss men. Why are men? Oh, you boys. Well, because this is outside my area of expertise, I'm gonna let you two mansplain. What's it?
So, why are men what?
It's just a meme. I mean, you two have two different views of the nature of men.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
I think men are... Oh, go ahead.
I've seen your content, and I've seen some of Alex. I mean, I guess since I have to kind of like lead this, you seem to celebrate when bad things happen to men, and get very angry when stuff happens to women. You seem to have a very incredibly biased, you know what I'm saying?
Me?
I'm saying like the way you say it, the demeanor of it,
Alright, well, you see, the content that I produce, it's like largely in response to like all the misogyny on the internet, which I've witnessed for like over a decade. Like as you know, like you might not know this by now, but like ever since 2010, I constantly read like men bashing women in the YouTube comment section every single day. Say like terrible shit.
You believe because you said that Miss Andrea is justified before, right?
Well, I don't think anybody should be hated based on, like, features they cannot control, but, I don't think there should be misandry nor misogyny, but I think misandry is more justified than misogyny is.
Okay. Is that my cue, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
So, I also believe that misogyny is a huge problem. I think that if you were to sum total the amount of problems that women face in society, they would probably outweigh those of men. But I also think that it's a useless comparison, because at the end of the day, my goal is maximizing happiness and freedom in society. And the only way you're going to do that is if you take all of the problems together and try to solve them. So that's why I'm a gender abolitionist. That's why I believe in, equal treatment of men and women alike. That's why I believe in, transgender rights. That's why I believe in people identifying the way that they want to, living, expressing themselves the way they want, living their best lives. And we can do that while we tackle the problem of misogyny. I don't think that we have to bend over backwards, day and night, hand over foot for women who, just like for women in general, I should say, because there's some pretty shitty women out there, and I think they're worth recognizing, and there are traits of femininity that are toxic, and sometimes it is a result, is like a direct result, a direct feedback loop from toxic masculinity, but it's toxic nonetheless, and it stems from feminine behaviors and feminine attitudes, and I think those are worth recognizing, especially in the face of all of these young men who have so many problems. I apologize, I'm a little sick. They have so many problems, especially when it comes to like emotional stability. I mean, you see men getting addicted to substances at twice the rate of women. You see men, the national incarceration for men, the federal incarceration rate is like 10 times as high. It's like it's not even close. It's like 93% to 7% or something. These are real problems. And also men are just not seen as very good caretakers when compared to women. And again, these are just real problems that we need to address at the same time as misogyny.
Alright, so Alec, I've watched your video explaining this topic, right? Mm-hmm. You said that women can be toxic too, and I agree. Mm-hmm. But you were describing Karens, being really terrible people, right?
Yeah. I mean, in public, they present themselves as terrible people,
and
yes.
And you agree that men can be Karens as well, but
correct.
Being a Karen is generally like a feminine trait.
Yes.
A behavior from women.
Yes.
So do you think Karens are the worst types of people ever?
No, I would hold that for probably pedophiles. I don't think they're the worst people on earth, but you're kind of comparing weird categories if you're going off of that.
Yeah, like growing up, I've met some people who exhibit bad masculine traits, all those gangster wannabe thugs from high school, and not from my high school, but from other high schools. All these gangster wannabe kids, they cuss a lot, and they sometimes bully others. I think they're the worst. They're among the worst types of people. They're even worse than Karens.
Are they worse than pedophiles?
No, probably not, but
okay, then they're not the worst type of people.
They're one of the worst types of people.
Okay. I mean, you can be that kind of person whether you're a woman or a man. And I would even posit that the societal structure would lead women to do that on a more emotional basis while men do it on a physical basis. Now, that's not always the case, and there are certainly emotional elements to what men do, and there are physical elements to what women do, but they're different. And they're different, but they're both worth addressing and recognizing as bad. And I think that like trying to categorize one as worse than the other is not going to get us very far.
But like so far, like reading all these YouTube comments over the years, that like all these people in the comments, they think women are worse than men, and like women behave worse than men do, and I strongly disagree with them on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the MGTOW and the men's rights activists are all cringe. And again, that's something that I'm trying to reclaim for the left, because I don't want boys to act like that toward girls. You know, I don't want men to act like that toward women. I don't want young boys to have this idea that it's okay to treat women like shit because they can't get pussy, all right? That's what I'm trying to fix. So yes, you're correct that there is a huge problem, especially not only in real life, but like in online spaces. You know, there's even a meme that like, it's a 4chan meme that's like, there are no women on the internet. And I find that, first of all, hilarious. Second of all, it does speak to a bigger problem of like, you know, sometimes we act like that. Sometimes we act like women don't belong on the internet, or we sexually harass them. There are definitely problems that women experience that men sometimes don't, or at least on the same level. That being said, you know, I would say there are toxic behaviors that women display online as well. You know, like the gossip that I talked about. There is sexual harassment of women toward men. Sometimes. I don't think that it's as bad, but it does happen. And also, there was a video recently of that one guy, the rapper on stage, getting grabbed in the crotch by a woman. And he was visibly upset. And I think that that speaks to a broader problem of women thinking that men just always want it, you know? Like, men love that shit. And some men do, for sure, but not all men all the time. And it sometimes leads to like a lack of boundaries and consent. And that's also a toxic behavior that stems from women. And I think that we need to address that as well.
Yeah. I do agree with some men's issues. Like, I think that that alimony should be abolished. And I think male circumcision should be like banned, because that's totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like people are comparing male circumcision to like female genital mutilation, which is like scientifically like female circumcision is like worse and it's more deadly. But like all these MGTOWs and red pillars, they want to say that it's the same thing, and I disagree with that.
Well, but we don't normalize female circumcision. And I think that speaks to a broader problem with male circumcision in particular. Even if we agree that, you know, male circumcision on the whole is not as bad, it's still genital mutilation.
Yeah, I agree. It should both be banned.
So,
okay, I think we agree on that.
Bottom surgery. Do any of you would view that as body mutilation?
What is it?
You know, asking for a hot take.
What is it?
If I choose on my own to get bottom surgery, would either one of you view that as mutilation?
So, mutilation is a loaded emotional term. When we say genital mutilation, I guess in the sense that you are taking apart and repairing the body organ, yes, you could call it that. But it carries, that word mutilation carries weight. You know, it implies that it's non-consensual. It implies that you're doing something wrong or bad, and calling it that is unproductive. So I would not compare a non-consensual genital mutilation such as circumcision to bottom surgery, which is consensual and often desired by people who are trans.
Yeah, I just think that parents circumcising their children, that should be banned. Like, without their children's consent. Like when they're born as babies, they're helpless. They should not be made to get a surgery they don't want. Like, if they're adults and they want to do that, it should be their choice.
I agree. What about bottom surgery, though? I think that was the question.
Yeah, same thing. It should be like their choice if they want to get it or not.
Okay. I agree with that.
Okay, so another thing I watched in your video, Alec, which you said more at the beginning, like, you said that that men commit more crime because of like their circumstance compared to women, and not because like they
Because
choose
what?
to. And your hour and a long half video, like women's wrongs.
Say that.
That video.
I'm not understanding the words. I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Like
You
I just.
on your video called women's wrongs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So men commit more crimes. What did I say the reason was? I don't even remember.
You said that they only commit more crimes because of their circumstance, and you're not putting the responsibility on them, like themselves, and I disagree with that.
Well, you know, we could compare this to the 1350 argument, right? That white supremacists love to use. You know, they say that 13% of the population commits 50% of the crimes. And yes, that is 100% accurate if we are going by arrest statistics. But you have to look at that in the broader context of the society. So am I saying that every single individual act by a man is because of his circumstances? Not entirely. You know, there's a lot to take into consideration there. But when you're looking at societal trends on a broader scale, it's so important to pay attention to the attitudes in that society. You know, what led to this pattern. Because like I said, it's not even close between the federal incarceration rate of men and women. Not even close. And you cannot convince me, not one bit, that that is purely because men just are prone to committing more crimes. At least not at that rate.
Well, I agree that the prison population is, like, at least in most states, it's, like, slightly skewed towards men.
Oh, it's not even slightly. It's abysmally skewed towards men.
Well, men commit 90% of the murders, right?
Okay. But again, we're going to get into the 1350 argument. Do you believe that because black people commit 50% of the crimes, that speaks to an inherent problem in black people?
Well, I believe it's fair for them to be incarcerated more if they commit more crime.
Okay, but you're not fixing the broader societal trend. They don't commit those crimes because they're inherently worse people. They do it because of societal trends, of historically racist attitudes. Similarly, there are certain misandrist attitudes, you know, and I use that term loosely, but there are certain attitudes that lead men to commit more crime that we have to recognize. And also attitudes toward women committing crime that are way looser. You know, when we see a woman who commits a crime, overwhelmingly they get shorter sentences. Why is that? It's the same exact crime. Is it because they're pretty? Probably. Is it because, like, we're just more prone to forgiving women? Yes. So that's a problem. You know, I believe in justice. If you commit a crime, you go to jail for this amount of time. And, you know, we could talk about, like, the broader context of that and how to fix crime as a whole. But in the context of our current society, I think that would be fair.
Yeah, I think everyone who commits a crime should be sentenced based on the crime they commit.
Right.
But, like, you know how, like, criminals, they get sentenced longer if they repeat that crime? And,
yes, repeat offenders.
I'm thinking men being repeat offenders, like being more likely to be repeat offenders, that's a factor to why they're sentenced longer.
Right. But once again, are men just more prone to committing more crimes and being repeat offenders? Is that just like an inherent difficulty that men face, that like they have to fight these urges?
Throughout history, that's been a fact. Like,
what is it?
Throughout history, all the wars were, almost all the wars were started by men, and like
Okay.
almost all pedophiles are men, and almost
No,
all people
no,
who
no, no, no,
discriminated
no.
against.
I highly reject that premise. I don't know the statistics, but I reject that 1000%. There are plenty of women who are pedophiles. It's probably skewed a little bit towards men, but I doubt that it's like that much of a discrepancy.
I don't see women constantly like valuing youth in a man and stuff like that.
Are
It's
you
always
kidding
like
me?
men talking about valuing youth in a woman and like.
There are certainly sexual attitudes that men have toward women that make them value the youth of women more than women value the youth in men. I think that is true. But to say that almost all men or almost all pedophiles are men, I don't know where you're getting that, but I would like to reject that because I don't think that's true.
Because most child molesters are men.
I don't think that's...
Most pedophiles are men.
Most is fine. I think we can agree on that, but especially convicted child molesters. But saying it's almost all of them is a misrepresentation of reality, I think.
Well, you see, like, a girl and a boy, they're both the most likely to be raped by a man, not a woman.
Yes.
Men are more likely to rape females, and they're more likely to rape other males as well.
I'm holding you to your exact wording. You said almost all pedophiles are men, and I said that's not even close to true. It can be most of them, just not almost all of them. Like unless you have a statistic to show me otherwise. I mean, the burden of proof is on you for that
I'll
statement.
show you the statistics of all these crimes men commit, like, from this website, later on. Like, I can show you my screen, but, shall I move forward to, like, the other bad things men do?
We could pull up, citations for at least one thing,
I mean, it's fine if he wants to move on. I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, like, and as for homophobia, like, I also discovered that, like, most homophobes, like the people who, like, commit hate crimes against the LGBT, they're also male.
Well, sure. I wouldn't contest that without seeing data. I think that's a reasonable conclusion to draw. I think most violence in general is committed by men. I don't deny that. But what I was addressing in that video is specifically how homophobia presents itself in women. Because it does. And I think, again... Oh, fuck me. Sorry, I'm playing a game. I think, again, that is important to recognize. It's a problem, and it's worth fixing. And it's a more insidious thing, too. Because we kind of just accept that, like, oh, that's like a cool and normal thing to think is like, well, if you're bisexual, then, you're sucking dick on the side. When that's not always true. It could be, but just because you're bisexual doesn't mean you're automatically cheating on your girlfriend with a man.
Yeah, but, like, you see all these countries that like, execute gay people.
Yeah.
And they have made it illegal to be gay. And all those, like, bullies who call other people faggots. Like, all of them, is, like, initiated by the male sex. There's all these terrible forms of bigotry towards the gay community.
I don't think the core problem... I don't think the core problem, though, is male violence. I think the core problem is religious and cultish attitudes. Because there are plenty of women who are involved in that as well. It just happens to be a male-dominated society. So yes, most of the wrongdoings are going to be by men, just by default of men having the power, the unequal proportion of power. In general.
Yes, and even so, they should be like they should hold themselves accountable to that, though. Like in fixing that.
Hold themselves accountable to fixing that?
Like hold their gender accountable.
No, we need to hold the behaviors, like people who are in charge of those behaviors accountable. That's not a
Exactly.
masculine behavior to do that. That is a behavior brought on by religious, conservative religious beliefs, not by masculinity. There could be a masculine component, I guess, but that's hardly the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, men are more likely to be conservative, right? Like they're more likely to engage in far-right beliefs than women are.
To my knowledge, but there are certainly far-right women as well. Should we just, like, ignore them?
Those far-right women, I've never seen them say anything hateful about, like gay people, but I've seen them be
Oh, I
racist,
have.
so.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling for some crazy stuff on Alex Jones.
Candace Owens. I can't even really think. I can't think of any more popular ones, to be honest. I would have to think.
Southern, you know, I guess she kind of like spews out some vitriol.
Hmm?
Lauren Southern.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Sarah Palin, probably. I don't know much. Like, that was just the first one that came to my head. I was like, oh, yeah, the pretty one that ran in 2008 or whatever.
So, you wanted me to cite some sources, right?
Sure.
Like, right here it says, do females ever molest children? Yes, female offenders make up approximately only 9% of all reported child sexual abuse. The most recent statistical report by the U.S. Department of Justice found that female offenders sexually abused 12% of victims under the age of 6.
12%?
Yeah, so from what it looks like, it does look like most pedophiles are men.
Does it? Well, I never denied that most pedophiles are men. I just said it's not almost all of them. I'm curious, though, does it account for unreported cases anywhere? Do they address that? And I'm not denying statistical evidence, but...
unreported cases, but, like, I don't see a reason why they would underreport the female offenders.
Oh, I absolutely do. It's because of sexual attitudes that pervade society. You know, if you have a female high school teacher who is sexually molesting one of her students, first of all, he's going to be way less likely to report that, as would anybody be way less likely. I mean, there are jokes and memes about it, right? About like, or at least there used to be. I think it's been getting better with time, but the meme of the sultry high school teacher who takes advantage of her students. I don't have statistics on that, but I do think that is an underreported problem. If I had to guess, that's why I asked for like
really
if they're
talking about teenagers here. We're talking about like pre-pubescent children, like before puberty.
Okay, fair enough, but like I still think that any underage cases are a problem.
Yeah, but like some are more of a problem than others, obviously, based on the age of the child. So, like I said, men are the most likely to sexually abuse both boys and girls who haven't reached puberty yet.
Right, I never denied that. I just said that I don't think it's as all-encompassing as you make it out to be. I mean, 12% is...
Well, you deny that, like, it's almost all pedophiles are men, and, like, I still stand by that position.
It's 88% versus what?
I have a question in the chat. Slug My Balls asked, what's the prescription for what's being argued here?
For me or for Fandar?
I guess both of you. Open question.
For child molestation, I think the prescription is to change sexual attitudes and stop you know, it'll take a long time, and a lot of structural changes in society, a lot of cultural attitudes need to shift. But the only way that we can really fix it is to stop fetishizing youth.
Yes.
You know, I think we both agree on that.
Yeah. Now, can I show you the crime statistics?
Sure. Will it show up on the?
Here,
Will it show up on your screen on the website?
do you see it?
I don't. No, hold on. Do I have to? I have the video feed full screen. Do I have to get out of full screen?
I would not know how to handle this technically.
Wait, I don't think you can see the screen because, like,
No.
there's 3
Well, you
panels.
quoted it, right? So I guess, you know. I mean, you can, like, name the website off.
I think you need to bring it into the stream. Like, what's your name? Rose? You need, since this is your live stream, I think you need to bring this screen in that I'm showing.
What is the statistic?
Right. In the bottom left corner of this.
What is the statistic? What's the important part?
Okay, I just want to show you, like, the proportion of crimes men commit versus the amount of crime women commit.
Okay. Also, I just figured out the stuttering is only visible for me. It's not visible for my audience, so I think it's a problem with my monitor.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that.
That's fine.
Why are they masked and using a chipmunk voice? So the middle guy is using the chipmunk voice. I'm not sure why the other person is masked, and I don't really ask questions. Huh? Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Go off, Queen.
So, Rose, do you see the bottom left corner of the screen? It says, there's a white area, a white and gray area, like, where I show the statistics. If you can bring that on, I can show the stats.
I'm trying to, like, change the format and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's not the format, it's like bringing in a panel from down there.
Alvin!
I'm sorry, I'm very new to this. This is my first rodeo, so I'm trying to, like, figure this out.
Oh, no worries. I couldn't probably tell you to use the website either. What is the statistic, though, that you're trying to quote?
Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, you can just say it. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so don't ask me for like, sources, because, like, I can't share my screen.
That's fine. If you can just cite the website and you know, I'll take your word for it.
It's called UCRFBI.government.
Okay. Okay.
.gov.
Seems official.
Yeah, you can look at the 2019 statistics. That's the latest statistics.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen my channel?
No, I have not. I just heard about you from, I'm sorry, Comrade Rose. Comrade Rose watched my video, I guess, from one of the servers that I post in, and asked if I'd be interested in doing this, so here I am.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a off-cuff question. Do you believe that that testosterone inherently makes men more aggressive in general, Pandor?
Well, when a man takes anabolic steroids, his testosterone level skyrockets, and he also tends to become more aggressive, like those, so-called roid-raging bodybuilders. So I do think testosterone has a factor. Artificial testosterone, at least.
I think there's a correlation. I don't think that it's as all-encompassing as the violent crime statistics would have you believe. And I think, again, that speaks, like, there's no chance, not a single shred of, there's not a single shred of doubt in my mind that those statistics are not only skewed by, like, testosterone and internal flaws of men. I do think that there's a trend, though. Because testosterone is a drug, and one of the side effects is it does make you more aggressive. It is able to do that.
Yeah. But no, I don't want to get rid of men's testosterone or anything. I just want to create awareness of this.
No, of course.
But I'm kind of having trouble deciding what we're debating about. Right?
Yeah, I think we're like all over the place. I mean, is there one specific topic that let's just move on to the next topic. You're like a broad topic that people are interested in hearing about.
Yeah, because I haven't like really discussed a lot of the hot takes Bander has made. Like,
okay,
it's kind of like the tone. He just made a wall post today talking about karma. For a guy who got killed by his wife, and we don't know the circumstance.
Right.
The woman could have been guilty of sin.
Right.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like acting more moderate and nuanced now that he's on the panel than he does on his own channel.
I think sometimes that happens, but I don't know. So what was the post exactly?
He made a community wall post. It was reporting news about a woman murdering her husband, and he off the cuff just says he deserved it.
Okay, I mean, do you want to defend that?
No, that's not what I said. I said, like,
okay.
Since I see all these misogynists on the internet saying women deserve it whenever they get killed by men, I do see those comments, like, over the years. And, like, it really pissed me off, so that's why I made that wall post.
I think that it is destructive rather than constructive to take the opposite approach. I think that you're overcorrecting to a huge fault if you do that. I think the better thing to do is just recognize that it is a horrifying situation, and probably it's a case, right? It's one case. I don't know the exact circumstances of the case, but I don't know that one singular case would lead us to any broader societal conclusions.
There's this terrible piece of shit known as Andrew Anglin from the Daily Stormer. He pretty much leads the alt-right. He very much hates women, and he actually told his followers to go troll a 13-year-old female murder victim who was murdered by a 14-year-old boy. And this happened last year, and he allowed those his followers to go troll that girl and stomp on her grave.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's awful. I would.
So that really provokes me as a feminist YouTuber to build a feminist army to counter that.
Do you not? I want to come back to that, but do you not think that the proper response to that is to, show remorse and empathy for the person who died at the woman's hands, rather than do the same thing that they did to female murder victims?
Well, I was kind of encouraging my audience to have a so-called troll storm to the like against men as those neo-Nazis do against women.
So you're advocating tit for tat on these kind of things.
Is it like blood for blood?
No, I just want there to be a power balance. Because like over this past decade, it's the internet trolls seem to be biased against women.
I would say that's a trend of the past couple of decades, considering that's about when the internet started getting popular.
Not the past couple of decades. It's like the recent decades, the 2010s. I haven't really seen misogyny on the internet in the 2000s.
I am very much inclined to disagree. The internet is a product of real life, and there is a plethora. I'm sure you would agree, like a huge amount of misogyny. Like, it may be a different brand now, but something and I would have to look into it more, but something tells me that's incorrect.
Yeah, I'm kind of showing my age as a post-wall gal, but I remember AIM in the 90s, and people could just say slurs and say anything, and
I mean, they were 4chan Andes, like, saying they wanted to, redact women. It was really bad. And I'm not saying they went away. I'm just saying that I think it was an even more broad, open space to do that.
Yeah, you mean like the misogyny from the 2000s was worse than the 2010s?
I don't know. I would have to look into that. My first guess would be yes.
I've only seen this red pill MGTOW crap and this incel crap starting from the 2010s.
Well,
back in the 2000s, it wasn't really like that.
Well, there's websites about MGTOW dating back to 2000s and 90s.
Oh yeah, they have the comic sans and everything.
Like nasty towards each other in the 2000s. They were cussing at each other, hating on each other. They were basically hating on everyone. They're being racist, homophobic, and all that stuff. They weren't specifically targeting women. Maybe they were rude to women, but they weren't specifically targeting them. But in the 2010s, I feel like they started specifically targeting women.
I disagree with that.
That's a question. He liked to ask outright: are trans women women or are trans women men?
Ooh, there's a good one. My answer is that trans women are women.
So I
to be honest, I don't really care about all that stuff. I just don't want biological men to invade women.
Well, hold on now. There was a very simple question: are trans women women?
Technically, no.
Okay, can you defend that?
Because of their chromosomes and their genetic makeup.
Are you familiar with Swyer syndrome?
No.
Swyer syndrome is when a woman is born with XY chromosomes and yet all of the internal female anatomy. And they grow up as women, and they usually only find out about it in their teens when they don't have periods because they don't have functioning, most of them, I believe, if not all of them, don't have functioning ovaries. So, are those women?
Well, I have to see their all their organs and hear their voice and
okay.
And see if they come off as women.
So it's about presentation then?
Well, it's technically about genetics,
right, but you're flip-flopping now.
Sex organs you were born with.
But no, you just said you would have to look at their organs and how their voice sounds and how they present themselves. So it's not just about their chromosomes or their organs.
It's already knew what Fender's answer was going to be. I mean, the last video I've called a dude right off the bat, introduced to his own audience, and I just kind of took it on the chin. We were debating something else.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like you're kind of flip-flopping on that answer.
If they were born with female sexual organs, then I'll consider them women. But like, if they're not, then no.
Okay. Are you conceding that people with Swyer syndrome are women?
Do they have any male organs?
No.
Then I consider them women.
Okay, so we have established that women can have XY chromosomes then.
If what you're saying is true, then yes.
Okay, so trans women then, I propose, are a form of women with XY chromosomes.
You can have your opinion, but like...
Well, that's not just my opinion. That's regarded as medical and scientific fact.
Yeah, but my position, what I feel strongly about is like male to female transgenders should not be allowed to enter women's sports because it's an unfair advantage.
Okay, I mean, you can feel however you want about it, but to quote a very famous and smart man, facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh, Chad, move, Alex.
Thank you.
But it's a fact that these people were born male, right?
They were assigned male at birth, yes.
Yeah. So do you think they should be allowed to enter women's sports if they transition?
I think in the meantime, before we abolish gender entirely from sports, yes.
Okay. My position is that I disagree with that. And
Okay.
right now, I don't really want to argue that with you, but like...
Okay.
Like,
For the record,
we
got
were
it.
talking about the internet trolls, right?
Yeah, I suppose we can go back to that if you want. I just, I don't know how fruitful that discussion is going to be because internet trolls have always existed and there's always been misogyny on the internet. And I don't know if the trend...
Look at the wall posts, Bandar. It seems like someone's coming in on stock accounts just to bait you to make wall posts. You're kind of like you're kind of like inviting them to troll you. I swear it's probably one person.
I'm gonna delete my wall posts eventually because like eventually my channel is gonna get reviewed for monetization, and like when that happens I'm gonna delete my wall posts. But like right now I'm just taking advantage of that place to rant, basically.
So wait, why will you delete them once you're up for monetization?
When I'm starting to get reviewed for monetization, because like if they see my wall post, it wouldn't get me monetized.
I don't think they'll even look at your wall. I mean, people get away with stuff on their community walls that they would not even get away in the videos. I've noticed that some people use their community wall to post docs and nothing happens.
I guess my question is, why do you feel that you need to delete them in order to get monetized?
Because, like, whenever you get, like, 4,000 watch hours, YouTube reviews your channel to see if it's eligible for monetization, and I need to keep it clean when that happens.
What's not clean on it?
Like, if there's a lot of, like, negativity, I'll probably not get monetized. So
I mean,
that's why I need to
there's negativity all over the place on YouTube.
Yeah, and these guys, they get demonetized.
No, I mean,
I don't even know if my channel will get monetized or not, but, like, if it does, then I'm happy. But if it doesn't, then oh well.
Okay, I guess what I was trying to get at is there anything specific that you feel like you get caught out for and miss monetization because of? Like anything that you posted? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, it's not because you wish
I
death
can't
on
remember
them.
everything, but like it's like maybe angry posts I made, maybe like posts where I like sweared a lot.
Well, I've seen videos where you like wish death on certain men as a gender. So yeah, YouTube man, you're
Well,
lucky to have a channel, bro.
that's not very nice.
Well, who were those men I wished death upon? So they were like pieces of shit, like Andrew Anglin.
I don't. I take issue with just outright saying you wish death upon people. I understand the sentiment for sure. I believe, like, obviously I don't hold that as like a core value of mine, because I think that there is a certain level of understanding to be had when there are people who wish death upon other people, especially if they have like really, really egregious crimes that they've committed or like wrongs they've done against an entire group of people. I just think that in general, this disallowing that attitude in online spaces is going to yield better results than if we were to allow it.
Well, like people like Andrew Anglin, he wishes death upon women, and he writes articles saying female murder victims deserve to die, and that's like really bottom of the barrel.
Right,
Like,
and
he's literally the worst person in the world, short of committing a crime.
right, and I understand that. And again, I completely understand the sentiment of wanting him to die. I get that. What I'm saying is, should we make it an acceptable thing to say in a public forum? And my answer to that is no. Once we start encouraging people to just throw death wishes at each other, you go down a very bad rabbit hole.
That's true. I tend to avoid looking at all these negative things on the internet, but like when I see them, sometimes I get like really pissed off, especially with the censorship, because like I know that like without censorship it might be worse. So like like with the YouTube censorship, when I read offensive comments, it's just like it's a lot worse because I know that that like if YouTube allows this type of comment, like this type of comment with the censorship, like how would it be without the censorship?
Well, right. So my
that
point
goes on in my mind.
So my point is, I just feel like it would be better not to make those comments.
Yeah, on both sides. Ideally, there shouldn't be like misogyny nor misandry. But like, I
Right.
feel that like if there's misogyny on the internet, it should be balanced by misandry, because like it's.
No, I disagree.
Because if people read all these misogynistic comments, they'll think it's okay to bash women but not men. But if
They want to
they read all
normalize
these
the other way.
radical feminist comments, they'll see both sides of the coin.
Right, but we don't want to fight fire with fire. We don't want to fight negativity with negativity. That's just going to tear us apart. You know, you don't want to allow a little bit of misandry as a treat just because there's a lot of misogyny going on. They're both immutable characteristics, and making fun of them in general, right? Obviously, there's going to be a little bit more leniency when you're talking about like jokes against men, etc. And I think that's fine because again, there's an imbalance of power in society. You know, you're punching up if you make fun of men. I agree with that. But in general, if you're,
You know, commenter on Slugman Balls asked, I want a clear answer. Should YouTube have a TOS?
Yes.
Not for comments, but maybe for videos.
I think absolutely for comments. I think even more so for comments, really.
Comments get deleted, though.
It is super easy to just type some words into the chat or into the comment bar and press enter. Like, you got to moderate that super hard.
I hate how, like, women on my channel, they get censored from writing comments.
Such as?
When you censor all these alt-right, hateful, racist trolls, you also censor, like, the feminists commenters like me and the women who comment on my channel.
But what are they saying that is being censored?
They're not really saying anything that bad, but
Okay, like what?
They're basically just saying they can't even say the word male without getting censored, like some of them.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's in YouTube TOS. If that is the case, I disagree with it, but I don't think it is.
So, Pandar, do you think hashtag kill all men is based?
What is it?
I'm asking Pandar specifically, does he believe that hashtag kill all men is based?
I obviously don't think all men should be killed, but like I think the men who are like who commit violence and abuse against women, yeah, those types of men, I want them to die.
But I mean, your channel's like a Poe's Law, you know, like Poe's Law, where you're just kind of like a parody. I mean, it's pretty funny stuff, I guess, to some people. I mean, I get a laugh out of your channel sometimes. I mean, if that's just it, one thing.
Are you a regular viewer to my channel?
I watch some of your content sometimes.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool.
You think that you think that men who abuse women deserve to die? Is that what I'm hearing?
Like physically abuse, like.
Okay, so like to what extent? Like what would be the least egregious thing? Like, are we talking like slap across the face? Are we talking like I'm just trying to get an idea.
Like black eyes and stuff like that.
What is it?
I think if a man gives his girlfriend black eyes, I think he deserves to die.
Would you like bring back public hangings or something like that?
No, what I wish is that I can go to that man and beat him to death. That's what I wish.
You would want public beatings? Like, sanctioned by the state?
Maybe not sanctioned by the state, but like vigilante justice.
So vigilantism.
Yeah.
But why do you want vigilantism and not, like, state justice? If you think that justice for these men is killing them, then I feel like that should be, like, it feels like you're not fully committed to the act, if you will.
Well, you know, there's an 8th Amendment in the United States Constitution.
I'm aware there's a few
I
amendments.
I don't really want to violate the Constitution on like cruel and unusual punishment by like the state.
Fuck the Constitution. I wipe my ass with it. I have my values.
Right?
Like, I have my values. Like, I think there are good values in the Constitution, don't get me wrong. But
I
they don't...
think, like, government orders is a serious thing, and, like, it can be abused, and it can, like, result in a lot of harm for, like, maybe innocent people.
Do you not think that vigilantism also does that?
Right. But I'm just going by what I would do. Like, if I think that a man truly committed a severe act of violence against a woman, and I have proof of that, then
I got that, but it's... I guess I'm more interested in what we ought to do. Like, I cannot sit here in all good faith and tell you that if I saw a man beating a woman to death, that I would not then kill that man in a video game, of course, okay? I can't tell you that I wouldn't do that, but that's emotionally driven. That's rage. I'm talking about what ought we to do. I think if you can save that man, like, if you can stop that man from committing that act without killing him, we ought to do that. And then we ought to bring him to justice in a way that is not killing him, because I disagree with killing humans on a fundamental level, if you can avoid it.
Yeah, I was just answering, Rose's question about, like, what I would do. Like,
it just doesn't seem like what you would do aligns with what we ought to do as a society. And it seems like a double standard to me.
It seems like you're not about justice, Bandar, but are you about revenge? I mean, you
Well,
just
the
don't like,
statistics already show that men kill women far more than women kill men. Should I not be upset about it? Like, should there not be some form of retaliation whenever
Do you want to fix the
men?
problem or not?
Yes, I do.
Or do you just want to punish the people who are part of the problem? Which would you rather do, if you could only pick one?
What do you define as the people who are a part of the problem?
My question is, if I just want you to answer it real quick, and then I'll answer yours. If it's was that a clarifying question? I'm sorry, I wasn't fully paying attention. I'm just trying to get an answer to the question that I asked. It would, if you could only do one, if you could punish the men that are guilty of those acts, but the acts continue, or you can, with a snap of your fingers, fix the problem and like not punish anybody, but no men will abuse women anymore, or vice versa, of course. Would you do one or the other? Like, which one would you do?
the second one, balls. We did go.
Ideally, the second one.
Yeah.
But like, that's not reality, right?
Right, but what I'm proposing is that punishing men in and of itself is not going to fix the problem. And I can back that up because, as we've discussed, men who commit violent acts like that often go on and do it again after they're incarcerated. So it seems as though locking up 93% men in the federal prisons is not reducing their crime rate, yes?
You think I want to lock up the majority of men?
No. I'm not saying lock up 93% of men. Sorry, I was unclear. 93% of the federal prison population is men. Like, they're being punished in an overwhelmingly unequal rate.
Well, it should be the proportion of crimes they commit. Like that should be like that should correlate with the percentage of them being in prison.
What I'm trying to get at is that punitive justice does not work. So killing men who commit those crimes does not fix the systemic problem that exists. You don't fix what leads to the development of such men. I'm not absolving men who commit those crimes once again. Individual behaviors deserve individual justice. But when you're talking about societal justice, right?
Of course, we need to raise young boys
right. So that's what I'm.
Idolize like gangster cultures and to respect one another.
What's gangster culture?
Like we should teach everyone not to bully each other. To teach everyone that violence is wrong, and ideally we should be a peaceful society with no violence nor vigilante justice or anything like that. As I was saying, Rose X wanted to ask me what I felt about the Kill All Men hashtag, and I just answered.
No, I was asking about your thoughts about gangster culture. I mean, is it like a... I mean, do you think that ethnic culture, Black, Latino culture, do you think that's bad?
No, like white guys, they can be like gangsters as well. They can be thugs as well.
Sure.
I've seen it with my own eyes growing up.
That's anecdotal. I think that that's certainly that's a result of societal attitudes. But let me posit this for you: what if we have those gangster mobs, whatever, right? That attitude, because of the toxic attitudes that we educate men are masculine, right? Like, what if it's because men are made to bottle up their feelings and not reach out for help when they need it? What if it's because men are more inclined to commit violence and do drugs and hang out with the wrong people because they feel like that gives them a sense of purpose, that gives them a community in which they feel alone and empty.
I do agree that we shouldn't punish men for expressing their feelings. Like, we shouldn't teach boys that it's wrong to express their feelings, and like they should be able to do that. But it's part of the problem is like toxic masculinity, teaching them that it is unmanly for them to talk about their feelings or show their feelings.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
And that's a big proponent of what that's a big aspect of what I'm a proponent of, is men being allowed to be men, like just be human, right? Express human emotions, consult and confide in people. Because like a lot of what ends up happening is those emotions get bottled up, right? And they are never able to get any kind of relief or release from those feelings and emotions, and then that all comes out sometimes, in many cases, against women and against even like their wives who they proclaim to love, right? And again, I want to stress, this is not to absolve men who do this. They're shitbags, okay? But just looking at them as shitbags rather than a natural result of what we are instilling in our young men is missing the forest for the trees, right? You have to be able to address this on a broad scale, or else you are never going to fix the problem. You're just going to keep punishing individuals like we're doing now, and that's not fixing the problem.
Yeah, I understand that punishing one individual is not fixing the problem. Yeah, and I am for preventative measures. Like,
no, it's not
I'd rather prevent than to like cure.
It seems like
that is my position.
It seems like you agree with me on a lot of things. It just seems like you're still trying to maintain this attitude of, hating men. I just don't understand it. Like the hatred toward all men.
I'm not promoting. I'm not directly promoting hate towards men for the heck of it. Like I said, it's because of all these misogynistic, sexist YouTube comments towards women, and I just want to build a feminist empire to like counter that.
Right, but what it's from doesn't change what it is. You're out here saying that, like, it sounds like you're saying you want to kill people. Like in these posts that you make. I don't know if you actually want to do that, but from some of the talking points that you've had, it does kind of sound like, I mean, you directly said if you had it your way, you would beat the guy to death, like by yourself, vigilante. I disagree with that. Why would you, like, no, we don't do that.
That's what I feel like doing.
That's fine.
Maybe I won't do that. But if I have the opportunity to do that, I most likely would.
Right. So it's fine to recognize that rage. It's fine to recognize those feelings, but then utilize your intellect, understand where those feelings are coming from, and direct that rage and anger and frustration at a system that is largely dominated by men toward fixing the system, not toward blind punishment and rage at men in general. That doesn't help anybody or anything.
Like I said,
that says there's plenty of women gang members.
I don't advocate for rage against men.
It's not like a gender thing.
Like by default, like what I want to do, my goal is to like create like a feminist audience. Just in case we need to react to misogyny.
Would you consider me a feminist?
No, you're not.
What if I told you I was one, or identify as one? I
identify as one?
I consider myself a feminist, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were against feminism. I thought you were just one of those typical left-wing guys.
No, no, no. So, like anybody who is on the left should be a feminist, and if they say they're not, they're probably lying. Either that, or they don't know what they're talking about. Feminism is not just about female empowerment. It's about the leveling of the playing field between the genders and the sexes, making sure that it's a movement toward justice. It's not just about women being able to live the same way that men do or do the same thing that men do. It's about men being able to do the same things that women do. Because we're not going to fix this problem if we only address it from the women's side. We have to allow men to express their emotions. We have to allow men to explore their feminine side. And that will, in turn, help them understand women better. It will reduce the barrier that exists, the divide that permeates our society currently between men and women, because that does exist and it's a problem. But you're not going to fix that by only empowering women. You also have to allow men to be vulnerable and be more feminine.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. But like you were talking about me, you were accusing me of hating men and directly saying that all men should die. That's not my position at all. My position is I want to prepare a feminist troll army just in case there are misogynistic trolls. That's why I built my YouTube channel.
A feminist army?
Fire with fire.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you admit it. You want to fight fire with fire.
So you just want to arm women to the teeth? I mean, I agree that you should, be able to defend yourself. I do think that you should be allowed to own guns and such, but I don't think specifically arming women to the teeth to defend themselves against this onslaught of men, like in Call of Duty Zombies. I just don't think that that's a realistic situation.
Well, yeah, both in real life and online.
Okay, so not just okay.
The reason I make those community posts is for dramatic effect and to sort of rile up the women on my channel to see the reality of what men post online, and I want them to create awareness. I want to create awareness for them.
Do you want some brutal honesty? You can say no.
Is it based on my stuttering?
No.
Oh.
It's because I stutter too. I wouldn't make fun of that. The brutal honesty I have for you though is that all of your ideas and kind of the way you present them strikes me as the inverse of an incel. You're doing the same thing that they do from exactly the opposite direction. It sounds like proportionally inverse talking points. You're trying very hard, and I can empathize, I guess, with how you're trying to level the playing field for women. I can empathize with that because, as I keep saying, there is a unequal power dynamic between men and women, and men have the advantage there. But your prescriptions are that of an inverse incel, where it's all about female empowerment. And I think that now that I've broken down some of your, I've kind of dissected some of your beliefs on that, I think you agree with me on many of the points that I have. I'm afraid that when this conversation is over, you're just going to go back to rage posting the exact same things and forget this ever happened.
Yeah, he said femcel, and I guess that's kind of the same rhetoric you would see in those subreddits.
But if there's propaganda about women by all these MGTOWs and red pillars, you should be able to counter that propaganda.
I feel
that men have flaws too, right?
So it seems like you're trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, but with a very, very different, and I would argue a destructive method. Because my approach is because I'm a man, right? I consider myself masculine and good looking and whatever. And I want to use that. I want to exploit that against the power structures in which men dominate, right? It's called using your privilege if you want to be a super SJW liberal about it. I'm using my privilege. So you can do that without constantly pointing out that men have privilege. You're not going to pull men over to your side by pointing out the fact that, you know, they might be a misogynist or they have privilege. Like, it's not going to happen. And I'm not saying that you're going to win every man's heart over, but certainly if you want to fix this problem, it starts with empathy. It starts with recognizing the issues that young men face, even if they are proportionally smaller than women's.
Yes, but like, when I focus on these issues that young men face, I title those videos, like, basically, I don't direct them at men, I just direct them at people in general. Like, I say that bullying needs to stop. I might make a video about how male circumcision needs to stop, and but I'm not going to stop trying to make my channel like a safe space for women. Kind of.
I would question you this: how effective? You are a man, right?
Yes.
How effective do you think you're going to be as a man creating a safe space for women?
Not very effective because, like, there's a censorship problem on YouTube right now.
It's not because of the censorship problem.
Nobody's channel is growing.
It's not because of the censor. Here, let me ask you this: how effective do you think I, as a white man, would be at creating a safe space for black people?
Well, Eminem did that.
I don't think so, my man. I don't think that is the case. Okay, hold on. I'll let you explain. Go ahead.
Trump. Didn't you see that rap video where Eminem cursed out Trump? And all those black people were standing behind him and cheering him on?
So that's rallying a group. Like, it's first of all, I don't think that was just black people, and second, like, that's rallying like a majority group of people who were black. But I don't think that Eminem is like a good person to be the head of a movement for black people because he's white. Like, he does not experience.
I'm not saying I want to be a head of a movement for women. Obviously, I'm always going to be, like, at most second in command. Yeah.
But why? Like, I just, like, it seems like you're kind of licking boots. You know, like you don't want to be the guy in charge, but you do want, like you just said it, you want to be second in command. Like, I don't understand why though. Like, just let women take care. Like, let women lead their movement, right? You can speak up for them for sure. And give them a platform.
Like, my issue, like I said, like, my issue is that I'm, like, pissed off at all those misogynistic comments I see and all the news stories I see. Like,
may I ask?
Picture this.
Well, I invited him to lick my boots, but
picture
not
this. What if someone continuously reads news stories of men committing crimes against women, and they continuously read misogynistic YouTube comments saying women shouldn't be allowed to vote, or women are this, women are that, and like if you keep on, like, being exposed to these things, wouldn't you want to be a feminist? Like, whether or not you're a man or a woman?
I mean, if you're a young man and you're being exposed to those things, you kind of get mind poisoned by it, right? And you become like an incel. That's kind of the point.
Well, like if you care for women and you're exposed to all these, like, piece of shit news stories and all these, like, piece of shit YouTube comments, like, wouldn't that drive you into, like becoming a full-blown radical feminist? That's all you see when you get on the computer?
I don't think that's all anybody sees. If that's all you're seeing, then you're hanging out in the wrong forums. But, like, I understand your point, though. Your broader point is that that is pervasive. And you're correct. There is a lot of sexism online, specifically misogyny. I'm not even going to pretend.
And in video games as well.
Right. No, for sure. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that like it's even close between misogyny and misandry online. It's not. Okay. I know sometimes I come off like that in my video. That's part of my shtick. I never directly say that. I always I always say that women tend to have it worse in most cases in society, in broader society. But again, who are you winning with that, right? If your goal is to reach more people and pull them over, like my goal is, if your goal is to fix the problem, you're not going to do that by starting off with, well, all the men on the internet, and even if you're not saying this directly, it comes off that way sometimes, I'm sure. Like all men everywhere are misogynist. It's men's fault. It's men's fault. Like even the whole thing with war that you said earlier, all wars were started by men. All men had the power. Okay? So of course they started all the wars. You know, like that talking point is not winning anybody over and not fixing anything. Men have problems too, and you have to address those first. It's like when your parents told you when you were growing up, well, you have to eat your vegetables. What about the starving kids in Africa? Why the fuck do I care about the starving kids in Africa? I'm sorry, I'm 10 years old and I just shit myself yesterday. Like, I'm more worried about that, right? You know, and that's not nearly as big of a problem as starving children in Africa. Not even by a land, like not even by, not even close, right? But, like, I don't care because I'm 10. You have to meet people where they're at. Does that make sense?
Yes. But, like, after they commit their evil deed, like, do you really want to be reasonable with them?
I want the focus to be on rehabilitation, not punitive measures.
And another question is, like, do people
I get that you're against, like cruel punishment, and you're against the death penalty, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Another question is, if people are being fed information about specific, you know, they're watching the news and they see, you know, crimes relating to black people all the time. If they develop an anger and a resentment towards black people, would you think that was justified? I mean, they're being exposed to it, right? They're seeing what's going on. They're being informed on it all the time.
Let me tell you something.
Do you think their anger is justified? Do you think how they feel is justified?
Okay, but whites already enslaved blacks for 400 years. But let me tell you something. Male on female crime, men doing women wrong is far more common than white people doing black people wrong, or black people doing white people wrong. Right.
I just don't even think it's an apt comparison. Like, I don't see the value in comparing those. The only reason that we brought up, that the chatter brought up this comparison, is to strike at the point that just because you are exposed to a certain group of people committing heinous acts all the time does not mean that you are justified in your, like, encompassing hatred of that group of people. Whether you want to call it that or not, that's how it comes off.
Yeah, but my answer to him, like, he says that, like, since black people commit more crime, is it okay to, like, blame them? My response to that is that, like, men committing crimes against women is far more common than black people committing crimes against white people, or white people
but that's
being
not
racist
an answer to the
black
question.
People.
That's just making another comparison that doesn't matter. You know, this is...
You were giving an anecdote about how you specifically saw information.
It's still a major difference, though. Like,
it's fine.
You're giving an anecdote about, you know, what drove you to kind of like give it back to them, right? Give you know, kind of like give the propaganda you give, right? I'm just saying that, you know, if people are being told...
Since we're talking about race here, I didn't really want to bring race to this conversation, but, like, who do you think were oppressed worse, black people or women?
Black people or who?
Well, black women, obviously. I mean,
black people or women?
They're not two separate groups.
Like, do you think throughout history and throughout the world, worldly basis. I just want to know your viewpoint on it. Do you think black people, like, do you think you would be more oppressed for being black or being a woman?
Do you think a person who's been smashed in the head 5 times with a hammer and their skull is fractured is better or worse off than somebody who's been stabbed 17 times in the chest? I mean, these are things that are not worth comparing. Huh?
So basically the same, right?
Well, what I'm saying is it's not worth comparing. You don't have doctors sitting there comparing it. They're trying to fix the problems. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to parse it out, it would be a weird thing to do. But, you know, you could break out, like, the abacus and whatever and, you know, decide, okay, well, this many bones are fractured. But why? Why would you do that? Because women's problems and black people's problems are so, like, they're intertwined in some ways, don't get me wrong, but they're separate, they're distinct. And they, you know, they're comparing them like that, asking which one is worse is not productive or conducive.
And black women, they deal with both of it, you know?
Correct. And black trans women dealt with the absolute worst of it and continue to.
Oh, but they're men according to fandom.
You see, white... You see all these white supremacists, they have a problem with black people because they commit more crime. And all these, like... on the other hand, black supremacists, they have a problem with white people because, like, of the racism they faced in the past. But, like...
Not always.
Come to think of it, like, men have done both of those things to women. Like, men have oppressed women, and men have committed crimes against women.
But why are we comparing these? What's the value? Are we saying that women have it worse than, like, the whole black population? Because I feel like, because they're just...
I'm saying that, like, sexism, misogyny is pretty much the biggest problem.
Well, Pandora, let me ask you something. You know, if a white slave owner has sex with his black female slave, it's rape, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's also rape if a white woman who owns a slave has sex with a black male slave. It's rape either way.
Yeah, we can say that. If he didn't want it, then it's rape.
Right.
Well, he's property, so he can't really consent, you know? I mean, under that power structure. The power dynamic.
Right, I'm failing to see where you're going with this.
Sorry. So I guess there were questions about his views on race. And I guess it kind of like confounded the overall conversation.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the chat or anything?
I think that's about it from questions from the chat. Sorry.
Okay. I wanted to go back to earlier because I think Fandar, you got cut off. I wanted to hear what you were going to say. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but you were cut off. Do you remember what you were talking about? Like earlier before the question was asked about, black people's oppression versus women's oppression. It's okay if you don't.
I'm saying that, whites potentially have a problem with black people because of the amount of crime they commit, and black people have a problem with white people because of the racism they faced in the past, and for like things like.
That's a sweeping generalization, but those are two examples. Yes.
Yeah. So black people, like, they have a problem with white people oppressing them, and white people. They can have a problem with black people committing crimes. But, like both of these traits are, like, they can be described as, they can be attributed to men when it comes to, like, the gender.
What my being at is the justification of hatred based on stats. Because that's the argument you're making with men. That's basically, you know, the whole bottom line.
No, I'm saying like men doing women wrong is basically the worst out of all these forms of oppression and bigotry.
I just don't understand the value in comparing them. You can address both at the same time. You know, and like I said with the horrific analogy that I gave, you know, like that. My point in that was obviously both are bad, and qualifying one as worse than the other is not only pointless, but it's just a weird thing to do. Like, I don't know why you would. I feel like that's not a contest. Nobody's keeping score.
Well, because you asked me about it, right?
Well, I think the question again was if your broader point was if men are like if you are constantly exposed to men online doing misogyny, calling women sluts or whatever, right? Or telling them to get the fuck off the internet, what have you. If you're constantly exposed to that, then you are justified in your misandry, right? Or at least it's understandable. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was, if somebody, let's say they're like a 60-year-old man who watches Fox News for 20 years, and all they see on the news is black people committing crimes because Fox News is a racist, shitty organization, like, are they then justified because that's all they're exposed to in their racism toward black people as people who commit violent crimes? Because that is the logic that follows.
Well, if that's all they see, like, it's understandable.
Right, but it's not acceptable, is it?
It's not acceptable.
Right. So we would then say also, somebody who makes sweeping generalizations about men based on things that they are exposed to online, such as men harassing women, I don't think that represents the majority of men. Like, making that sweeping generalization that all or even most men, or even half men are like that, is not fair to us.
No, I'm saying, like, it's necessary to build a feminist army to defend women from all these, like, these misogynistic trolls.
But you keep saying the feminist army. What does this army look like? What do they do?
Like a bunch of women on my channel condemning wrongdoings against women. It doesn't have to involve hating on men or anything.
Okay.
It just has to do with speaking out against misogyny. So all these kids who go on these YouTube videos, when they read these comments, they'll know that sexism against women is wrong.
They don't know that, but do you think that a bunch of, like, women, which they're already making fun of and disregarding, yelling at them, is going to change that?
Well, they can yell all they want on my videos. Like I said, I want
That's
it
fine.
to be
I am 100% in favor of giving women a platform. I believe that that's super important, just like with any minority. Like I said, I am part of the most privileged power dynamic, the most privileged power group in the world. I am at least a straight presenting white male. I'm large, so I don't have very many health problems. I'm not disabled. I have ADHD, I guess, but you know that I deal with that. In general, my point is, I am one of the most privileged motherfuckers on the planet, and it's not even close. Okay? I want to use that privilege for good, if you want to put it in an SJW way, which I try not to, because that is a repellent for my audience. But my point is, that's what I'm doing. And I think as a man, that's what you can do as well. You, as a man, you would be able to reach these young men better than women can. That's just a consequence of the power structure. It sucks. It's sexist. But you can reach these men and give women a platform in doing so, right? So, like, the platform that you want to give women should not be one that is aimed at being aimed at being aggressive toward men, right? You want it to be aimed at understanding where these men are coming from and addressing the problem.
I see what you're talking about, but I pretty much refuse to engage with any man who like specifically goes out of his way to hate on women, and I just don't want to deal with that.
That's your prerogative. I would never say that that's wrong of you to do, because you know, that's just your thing. That's your deal. I will tell you that, again, if your goal is to reach new audiences and fix the problem, I don't know how you can do that without...
My goal is just to reach a female audience. I don't really want a male audience.
So your goal is to reach women who already agree with you?
Well, since they're women, they're more likely to stand up for their own sex.
Yeah, he's preaching to the choir, to the echo chamber, and that's fine. I mean, you know,
what do you think you're bringing to the table? What's unique about what you do?
Well, you're saying I'm preaching to a choir, Rosex, but isn't that what all these MGTOWs and red pillars do? They preach to other men who already agree with them?
Yes.
Yeah, confirmation bias. Exactly.
But on top of that, I'll say this. They're reaching men by addressing the issues that they have in their personal life. So it's not just a bubble it's not just an insulated bubble. It has a layer of insulation, but they leave enough room open for new people to join. It's kind of like how Nazis recruit. You know, there are people with a ton of problems in their lives, and they don't know where to point the blame. They don't know why they're suffering. They don't know why they're miserable. They don't know where to point that anger and hatred, right? So what do Nazis do? What do MGTOW people do? They come in and they say, well, if you're a Nazi, it would be like minorities, but since we're talking about men, for MGTOW people, it'd be, well, actually, it's the women. It's the women who hold all the power. The women are the reason that you can't get sex. The women are the reason that, you know, you're experiencing the things that the feelings you're experiencing, and they hold the keys to sex, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's how they kind of reach in and recruit these boys. So in order to fight that, we need to be more enticing. We need to be more inviting, and we need to, if you really want men to change, the way that you're going to do that, again, is by recruiting them before the MGTOW people can. Because it's a lot harder to de-radicalize from MGTOW than it is to radicalize somebody toward the left who is just like a Norman who needs somewhere to point his frustration and problems.
But can I use my advice, like your advice for my female audience, like to relate to their problems, and so that they'll come to watch my channel more?
That's fine. I see what you're saying. But what you're doing is kind of the parallel to MGTOW, is it not? It's just it's blind hate. It's blind rage toward men. It's not understanding the broader societal problems.
Like I said, it's like I want the power to be balanced. Like, to give both perspectives. Like, for people visiting YouTube to look at both perspectives, to like the pro-woman perspectives and the pro-men perspectives.
Okay, but again, in your post and in your videos, you're not really, like, I don't want this to be MGTOW versus radfems who just hate men. That's not the discourse that I want. Okay, I don't want the solution to entail that polar dynamic. I think that we all need to come together and recognize the collective problem of gender differences. You know what I mean? Like, or gender inequalities, I should say. That's my thing. So, like, even though, let me put it this, like even though I'm recruiting, like, my main audience is mostly young men. Those are the people that I'm going to, like, reach out to the most. I have plenty of women in my audience. I have plenty of trans people in my audience. I have plenty of black people in my audience. Like, I have a variety of people in my audience of all colors, shapes, sizes, gender orientations, and sexualities. You know, you can appeal to a specific group of people and make that your main target without ostracizing another group of people. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or making them feel uncomfortable.
I prefer to make positive videos, but like like sometimes I have to be negative when I respond to another video because
Sure.
like some videos are just like so sexist and stupid. I just have to like you know, put them down.
Oh, if
And
you think all of my videos are like positive, hunky-dory all the time, you got another thing coming. Like, I think the important thing if you want to draw people in is to be entertaining. And to keep them there and radicalize them toward your side, you have to be entertaining. And sometimes that entails being a little negative, and I'm fine with that. It's not about the negativity, it's about where you're throwing it. Like, if I had instead in my video about women's wrongs said, well, this is, like, I even said at the end, I was like, look, I need you guys to not take away from this any incel shit. Like, this is a problem for all of us. Okay, this is an us thing. This is not an us versus them thing. It's all of us together. It is men and women solving the gender gap together. And you know, my biggest thing with the left is that they sleep on the issues that men have. Even though they're not as big of a problem as women in general. Again, with the child analogy about starving African children, they're not going to give a shit. Young men who are experiencing depression and suicidal thoughts, maybe, or like who feel like they can't express their emotions or feel like they can't get enough pussy, like even just something as simple as that. They're not going to give a shit about women's problems. You have to address their own first. You have to meet them where they're at. And if you don't, the radical right will.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I shouldn't be like ostracizing the average male from my channel. Like,
well, you are a man.
If they're being respectful, that is, like, if they're like writing respectful comments, they're just like doing like a sort of peaceful complaint. But if they're already radicalized, if they're already like,
oh yeah,
like an Anglin follower.
Oh yeah, I mean,
then I have no hope for them.
Yeah, no. Listen, there are going to be toxic people who show up and you can tell them to fuck off. Like, if it ends up being more destructive than it is constructive, then tell them to fuck off. I just did that last night. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying you have to keep every toxic person that comes in and try to recruit them. You know, not everybody's going to be reachable, and that is unfortunate, but it's true. It's just something that you have to gauge. Sometimes you'll make mistakes. Maybe there was somebody that you could have recruited that you kind of brushed off. Maybe there's somebody that you did recruit that is causing more damage than you're helping them, right? Like, it's not worth it. It's a cost-benefit analysis. It's not going to be perfect, but as long as you're overall doing more good than harm, you know, like, that's the big thing. But another thing I want to tell you is, like, you're a man. Right? Like, aren't you happy to be a man? Aren't you, like, proud of who you are as a man? Or do you take issue with yourself for being a man? Or do you not care?
I have no problem with being male. I have, like, stereotypical male hobbies.
Okay.
I have, to be honest, I don't have any, sort of any, girl hobbies, really. Like,
that's fine.
Like, I identify as a man, and I'm also straight. But, like, but when it comes to, like, politics, and when it comes to, like, who I side with, I don't know how you explain it, but, like, in that situation, I identify more with women.
Okay. I think you are very empathetic to the plight, or I should say sympathetic to the plight of women. You see that there is a huge societal problem with misogyny that is real, and I would never deny that. I know I keep saying that, but I feel like it's important for this conversation. I just am questioning your methods of how you go about addressing that, I guess. You know?
Again, I try to be as positive as I can.
Again, but it's not about positivity. It's about it's not necessarily positivity as a whole. It's just making sure that you're not ostracizing an entire group of people for characteristics that are beyond their control.
Yeah, I plan to clean up my channel eventually, like when it starts getting monetized and like growing.
Mm-hmm.
But well, when I see like these terrible people in the comments, I feel like I need to retaliate against them, like because I have no hope for them.
You can retaliate against them. You can do that. I think that there are more productive things to do, but I do it all the time. You can call them misogynist assholes. You can tell them to fuck off. You know, I have no issue with that. I wouldn't say that the proper response is, well, this is just how all men act. This is men. Nah. Like this, of course, a man would say this. Like that's just.
No, I
that's
don't
silly.
say this is how all men act. I say like there's a huge problem with misogyny on the internet, and you women on my channel, you need to know that like this is how all these Daily Stormer followers they think about you, and you need to like have this awareness. Like, yeah.
Okay. I don't know how much awareness needs to, like, if you, like, I would take a look at this guy. Like, here's my perspective, right? I'll take a look at this guy. I mean, I just did incel content last night, right? Let me give you an example. So last night, there's this guy who's like a terrible, terrible artist, right? And he's an incel, and he's been making YouTube videos for 5 years, and he's got like tens of thousands of views on some of his videos. And literally all they are is he uses a voice modulator kind of like yours, actually. And he just makes like these little cartoons, if you can even call them that, very terrible drawings of, you know, most of them are single mothers. He has this really weird hate boner against single mothers, and I don't know why. But it's literally just about women dating assholes, right? Like that's his big thing. Like he makes up these scenarios, these straw men that he like dreams up in the shower or something, and then he just like makes anger videos about them. And last night I looked at that and I shat on him super hard. I'm like, this guy just hates women. This guy is literally just like the world's premier incel. He'll never get pussy. And he's a ridiculous joke of a human being. So, you know, I don't think that it's bad to do that. It's entertaining, and it will draw people towards your content, and it's also sending a good message. Like, don't do that shit. Don't hate women. You don't then have to say, like, I don't know. I know I've touched on this already, and you don't have to ascribe that to male behavior. That's incel behavior, right? Not like incels tend to be male, and we can recognize that, but that's not male behavior. It's incel behavior, right? And that's your focus.
Well, it's male supremacist behavior.
It's incel behavior, and I mean you can say that like it's men who do it, because it is 100%. But is that going to be your main focus? Is my question. Because if you just say that, if you just lump all men in with that asshole,
it might not be a male behavior, but like I said, it's a male supremacist behavior. Like it's a sexist man behavior.
It is a result of sexism in society. But again, it's not. I don't want to say it's not unique to men, because it is, but it is not indicative of all, like an underlying problem with all men everywhere. It's a specific brand of man.
Yeah, a specific brand. Like
Yeah.
I find that it's not just the incels, but like these alt-right people and the MGTOWs. If they have the opportunity, they're supposedly different, but if they have the opportunity, they would work together to like shit on women.
Well, they would have to go outside first.
What'd you say?
I said they would have to go outside first.
True. Yeah,
But like when they see each other in chat forums, they cooperate with each other.
Oh, 100%. And
I've seen
it's
their comments.
right, but organizing against that is going to take more than just like how many women can I recruit. It's going to be how many people can I recruit. Like, if you have men on your side, that's going to help you infinitely more, like, than just having women.
But,
You know?
like, men are less likely to want to join my side, whether I do it in a friendly way or...
You're right.
Or
So
if
how
I
do you
do it
address
in a
that?
radical way.
So how do you address that? Because I'm addressing it in the way that I feel is appropriate. You know, I don't drive women away with my content. I like I said, I have plenty of women streamer friends and women in my audience who watch me and they love it. You know, I've got a single mom who watches me, which is crazy. She's like in her 30s or 40s. And she loves my content. You know, it's not even if I'm catering it toward young men, that doesn't repel women. You don't have it doesn't have to be exclusive, mutually exclusive.
But I find all these men who support women on the internet, I find that, like, at least for the past decade or so, they're rare.
Men who support women doing what?
Men who support, like, pretty much most men in the comments on YouTube, they hate feminism.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's very rare for me to find, like, a fellow male feminist.
Well,
so
I'm
I
also
have to,
right. I'm also a male feminist, but I don't jump out of the gate with that. You know, that's not my shtick. And you know, you can speak to diversity of tactics, I guess, but
no, like even if it's not a small minority, like the majority of anti-feminist men, they shame male feminist men. They call them cucks and simps and white knights and like they absolutely hate it when their so-called fellow men betray their gender.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a big problem in the YouTube comment section. Like it's very rare for me to find a man who supports women. So like I just say fuck it. Why not just appeal to a female audience? Because like a male audience, like most likely he wouldn't support what I do. Whether I do it in a friendly way or a radical way.
I feel like your tactic is not going to garner like if your goal is to like build this army of women to you know, defend against misogyny. I have a few pointers on that, because first of all, like, I just don't understand what you mean, I guess. Like, what, they see one bad post on Twitter and then like you blow the blowhorn and then all the women come in and start like commenting. Like, this is already a thing that happens, especially with TERFs, right? Trans exclusionary radical feminists. Whenever like a trans person breathes on Twitter, like they all just like roll in and begin the hate raid, right? Now, does that get rid of the trans person? No. Does that do anything productive? No. So like, I'm trying to figure out what you mean by like this army of women who defend against misogyny, because I just don't see that fleshing out.
Like basically comment against misogyny. Like say like this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening, and stuff like that.
But women are already saying that. You know, like, this is nothing new or special.
Maybe in real life, but like not online.
Do you not think women online would fight misogyny? Or that they want to?
I think they would, but they're not as aware of, not all of them are as aware of it yet.
Oh, I think any woman who's ever been online for more than 2 seconds is very aware of it.
Yeah, but they're not encouraged to, like, you know, fight against it.
I don't know. Like, what encouragement do they need? Like, I feel like they get plenty of, you know, what am I trying to say here? Like, it seems kind of, like, oh, shit, sorry. It seems kind of like you're, infantilizing them a little bit, is what it sounds like. Because, like, in my opinion, like, I'm not saying women should handle women's problems, period, end of story, but I am saying that they should be, like, the arbiters. Like, in general, right? Yeah. Women ought to be, the people, like, in charge of this movement.
Yeah, that's why I listen to other feminist YouTubers. I'm not saying like I'm not saying how feminists should act. I'm not telling other feminists, like the female feminists, how they should advocate for women. Like, I actually listen to them, but like personally, like I just give what I feel about a situation, and I'll let the women decide what to do with that information.
So you just basically parrot what the leaders of your feminist movement does, right? You're kind of like signal boosting, right? What they're doing.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, sometimes I do, but sometimes I just speak what's on my mind, and like I said, I let my viewers decide what to do with that information. Like, it's their choice. I'm not really telling them to do anything, but like, I'm kind of encouraging them to like speak out against misogyny. Yes, I do have a few men on my channel as well, but like I said, like men who support me, like, is rare.
I don't think it's important that women speak out against misogyny on their own behalf, but I don't think that that's the core problem here. I don't think that, like, it'd be like saying, as a white guy, I'm trying to make more black people aware of the issues with racism. And it's like, doesn't that seem kind of condescending? Like, do you not think that black people are already very well aware and well acquainted with racism in society? I feel like they just have better experience with that. I feel like they're better equipped to handle those conversations. And I can support them and platform them and help them with their cause. But ultimately, my shtick is not going to be fighting, like, part of it will be fighting racism, but like, not from the perspective that a black person would have. I just don't have that, right? And I'm not saying that you're claiming to have that, but I guess, I don't know. It seems like your tactic is a little bit flawed in nature.
Well, this is just on an online context. I'm not like trying to make women aware of their experiences in real life, because like obviously they know their experiences the best. But when it comes to the online world, I have seen so much horrid shit going on in the comment section, and I want to expose that. And I also want to expose like all these news stories of like men doing fucked up things, like so that like women know like what these, like.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I just, I think it's fine to expose these things. I just think the optics are a little off. Like, I don't know. It again, it just seems kind of like it seems a bit condescending is all. Like a man telling women like to be aware of misogyny.
Well, that's not what I'm telling them, but I'm just like showing them all these things, like all these fucked up things that these male supremacists say.
Okay, and then what's your what's your call to action then?
It's their choice what they want, how they want to react to it, but like.
Well, but you have a purpose on your channel, and you keep saying it's to build this army of women to, like, defend against misogyny. I feel like we're going in circles at this point, but, like, this army of...
to speak up for themselves.
But again, you then are saying, like, you know, women, hey, this is happening to you, like, be aware of it. And it's like, well, yeah, we experience this on a daily fucking basis. Of course we're aware of it. I don't know. I feel like needing to tell them to speak up is like, in my opinion, I think it would be a better focus to like give women a platform to speak, right? Like if that's really your focus, bring women on. I'm building a website. Right, bring women on to talk about their experiences. I think there could be a lot of value in that. You know, like if you want to talk about like things that are happening to women and you want to be like one of the supporters of that, I think that's great. You want to platform women, that's great. You know, you should do that. just like you say second in command, but like it does seem like you're kind of trying to be like the
Well,
male
that's just
savior.
an expression. Like,
Right.
like, really, I'm just like a helper, basically.
Okay.
I'm just like a charity worker, kind of. Like, I'm not really a commander.
Okay.
I'm just like a spy and a charity worker.
Okay. May I ask you? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but may I ask how old you are?
I'm 27.
Okay. I was just wondering. You're around the same age that I am. I was just curious. There was no reason for me to ask that. I was literally just curious. Sorry. Okay. So and it also kind of gives me a perspective because we're about the same age, so just kind of see where you're coming from and what you've seen. Probably similar.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we've been kind of walking around in circles for like an hour now. So, what do you want to do, Comrade Rose? Do you want to do like closing thoughts, or did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of like touched on everything. I mean, it seems like how he's it's not what he's saying, it's how he's saying it and so forth. It seems to be the crux of it, right?
Right. It seems like that's kind of what we came to terms with.
Yeah, I guess it's been productive.
It was. I mean, it wasn't as bloodsheddy as I thought it would be. I'll be honest. So that's good.
Well, I guess when I debated him, I was like mad about something really unrelated to the topic at hand, and I yelled at him hardcore. He's pretty agreeable in person, Bandar.
Well, like, when I pre-record my videos, I tend to be more assertive, but like when I'm doing this live, it feels more like a freestyle rap I'm doing, so I need to constantly be thinking of things to say, and I can't pre-record it, so
I think you're.
not as,
Well, that's fair, and I think you're also just faced with the fact that you're talking to people, and it's easy to get caught up in this idea that you can be abrasive if you're not directly speaking to them. And I am guilty of that as well. I'm not saying this is a you thing. I'm saying this is a people thing. But like, I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, but I think we're big kind of
most of
open
the
discussion.
time it's mostly it has to do with like pre-recording my content. Like, if I have a script and I speak off of it, I can sound really assertive. But like, if I'm doing this live and doing a presentation, I have to, like, when I don't have a script, I have to constantly think of things to say, and I don't really have the incentive to be all like aggressive and stuff like that.
We all have our shtick.
I think the kind of the big takeaway is, I mean, women have a lot of issues, most definitely, but so do men. Men need love, and their issues need to be brought up.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And just because the reactionaries have a tone that they have put out, doesn't mean we have to act the same.
I admit I have a bad habit of reading like comments on YouTube. I should stop
no,
doing that.
Don't do that. I actually read all my comments because I get like 5 of them, like per month.
I have no problem with reading comments on my own videos, but like.
Oh, I see what
it's
you're saying.
when I read comments on other people's videos.
Yeah, don't expose yourself to that constantly, man. You're gonna poison your fucking brain. Like even I'm guilty of like doom scrolling and being a reply guy to people I disagree with, but I need to stop. I've recognized that it's not good for me.
Yeah.
So
I guess
anyway,
the takeaway is, if what you're seeing out there is getting to you, log off and touch grass.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I should just stop reading those comments.
That's a good idea.
That's only half of the problem.
Man. So
those news videos also bother me, but like It's on the homepage, and they're recommended to me. And yeah, unlike the comments, the news videos are actually a reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if I want to ignore that, it still has an effect on society.
Right. All right. Well, I think it's been a good conversation. I appreciate you having me on, Comrade Rose. Thanks so much for setting this up. I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah. Remember, you know,
it's nice talking
when
to
you
you.
think on the internet is pissing you off, go out and touch grass. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, touch grass. All right. Good night, Pandora. Thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks for this live stream. Bye, everyone.